everybody. It's Brindley, and I'm really excited to chat with you guys tonight. I'm just going to get cut right to the point tonight. So, I remember, I guess it was last summer, I was at Jolene Snell's house in Bellingham. My dear friend Jolene, you guys have heard me talk about her. She's been a huge inspiration in my health journey. And I remember sitting in her kitchen and I said to her, how long is it going to take me to lose my gut, to lose my stomach fat? And she said a year. And I remember at that moment thinking, well, I don't have a year. Like, who has a year? And I'm a person that wants everything yesterday. Very high D, no patience, just get it done. Let's just do it. And I remember sitting in that kitchen going, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can wait a year. And her and I broke it down, and what we started talking about was the 1% improvement. And that's where the 1% improvement was kind of birthed out of, was that conversation of, instead of focusing on it taking a year, let's just focus on the 1% improvement that you can make that will get you closer to there. Then fast forward to, that was the 40th birthday, was lose 40 pounds in a year. We almost made it. We're still on that journey, yet, hey, we've done pretty well. And then we started year 41 now is going to be building financial wealth. And so I start reading and I start listening to podcasts and I start learning about compounding and compound interest and and Warren Buffett. And if you know Warren Buffett's story, the majority of his wealth did not come until he was in his 50s and 60s because he started investing when he was 10. And so what I'm learning about building financial wealth is that it's also a waiting game. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It is something that has to wait. And then I was had the honor and pleasure to be at a mastermind this weekend where I was one of the youngest people. The oldest that was there, or I should say the wisest that was there, was 81. And then I was the youngest at 41. So there was a 40-year age gap. And this woman, her name is Glenda Williamson, if you guys know her. She is from Arizona. She is literally 81 years old, and you would think she was 60. She runs, jumps, does all the things, is coherent. And I mean, it blew my mind. And what her and I talked about was, again, like, what allows you to live in that good of health at 81? It's taking care of yourself for all the years leading up to that. It's what you put in your mind. It's what you put in your heart. It's what you put inside of you, that food wise and alcohol wise or not alcohol wise or liquid, everything that you consume over a long period of time is what's going to allow you to live that life at 81. And she is fully self-sufficient at 81, lives on her own, could probably run a 5K if she trained for it. I'm not kidding you. And yet that took time. And so what I'm learning is that, and we've heard it a million times, good things come to those who wait. Nothing comes quickly. Anything worth having is going to take time. And as I started doing research on how to learn to wait, what I found was there's a difference between patience and waiting. Patience is having a good attitude while you wait. And so we constantly pray for patience or ask for patience or I need more patience. Well, let's just get rid of that word and let's just focus on waiting, right? You might do it gracefully sometimes with a good attitude, and sometimes it may just not be fun. And I've been in a waiting game with my health. I've been in a waiting game with my finances. I'm in a waiting game with my professional life and building a business. Everything right now that is in my life that is either what I have today that's worth having or where I want to be in the next 3, 5 to 20 years is going to require some type of waiting. And I don't necessarily have to do that well all the time. Each time I wait, the more my patience grows, right? The better my attitude becomes when I'm waiting. So instead of focusing on the patience part of it, just starting to focus on the waiting. And a couple things that I've done with my health is, asking myself, what is it going to take to hit the goal? and getting real clear on how long it's going to take, what I'm going to need, and then what the ultimate goal is. So when I started my health journey, I was just, all I wanted to do was lose 40 pounds. Well, what I found on that journey, and because I've waited and I've actually given myself the time and space to do it the proper way, is that I am healthier than just losing 40 pounds. The things I'm putting in my body today, the things I know about my body. I mean, I never knew what a histamine was, or an oxalate, or any of these things that are in our foods that will contribute over time to poor health. Right now that I'm on this financial journey and I'm interviewing people that have high amounts of wealth, every single one of them is telling me that this is what it's going to take. And so it's getting really honest with what waiting looks like and what waiting means. And I did some research and looked at how they teach children to wait. And it kind of it made me laugh, because I was raised by an independent single mother. And so my mom did the best that she could with what she had, and she was an amazing mother. Yet she didn't have the time to make me wait for a toy to teach me how to wait. And that's a lot of how they teach children to wait, is they tell you to hold the toy and not give it to them for a certain amount of time and make them wait for the toy. And then next time make them wait longer for the toy. And that's how you start to build their perseverance, if you will, and their ability to learn to wait. Well, when you're raised by a single parent, they don't have time. They have barely time to feed and change you, let alone to play this, cat and mouse of learning to wait. And so it was a really big eye-opening experience for me. And I asked myself, well, Brindley, what in your life have you done that you could compare to waiting for the toy? And the first thing that came into mind was meditation. That meditation has hands down been the one thing that has helped me learn how to wait, yet also to have patience, which means having a good attitude while I wait. And if you would have told me, I started meditation, seriously practicing meditation and mindfulness probably about 3 years ago. And if you would have told me 3 years ago that I would be able to sit and meditate in a meditative state for 20 plus minutes, I would have told you were crazy. I couldn't sit still to save my life. I couldn't sit still through my favorite movie, through something that I loved and got my attention. And someone challenged me to just take a kitchen timer and just set for 30 seconds, sit in silence. And if a thought comes in, let it pass, right? The thought train comes through, let it jump on the train and it can go. And then the next week, do a minute. And the next week, do 2 minutes. And what that has allowed me to do now is to appreciate silence, appreciate waiting, and not having to go now, and being able to be in a state of mindfulness. And what that allows me to do is to be in the present moment. And the surefire way to help myself learn to wait is by being in the present moment. Waiting becomes difficult when I start projecting out to the into the future. Waiting starts to become challenging when I'm thinking too much about the future, or I'm worrying about the future, or I'm comparing today to where I want to be, and being hypercritical of myself because I'm not there yet and I should be a lot further ahead than I am. And then what happens is this pity party starts. And then I take a step back and I start looking at where I really am compared to where I was, even 3 months ago. And I realize quickly that I'm a lot further ahead than I thought I would be 3 months ago. Yet I'm so worried about thinking about where I'm not, or going into the future, or projecting into the future, that I'm not celebrating how far I've come in the waiting game so far. So if there's anything that I could give as a gift tonight, it's practicing meditation, which will help you stay in the present. When you start to find yourself going into the future, instead come back to the present and then ask yourself, how far have I come in the last 3 months, 6 months, 1 year? As someone who has started a business and that has really poured into it in the last year and a half, it never comes fast enough. And yet when we sat down to do our Q2 GPSs and we looked back at the last 3 months, we couldn't believe how far we had come. And so without taking those stops and really looking at where we've come and where we are, instead of always trying to chase the next rabbit or chase the next thing, we now are getting better at playing the waiting game. So I hope that's helpful. It's what I'm learning, and I'm learning that I just have to learn to wait. There's certain things that I have absolutely no control over, and I certainly don't have any control in making them go faster. So if I can learn to be better at waiting, then I will prevail, and I'll actually be happier on the way and on the journey. So hope you guys have a great week. If you want to reach out, please do. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Bye.